38 for 2 and it's raining, so we've got a delay. We're actually going to switch codes and gender now because I haven't managed to get DK's thoughts on this, or indeed Nasser's, because he's had his sabbatical after his exertions in the 100 early on because he's been away. England have announced the test squad, of course, and there's a couple of changes in it because of injury, and also there's some shift in focus and role for Dan Lawrence. So this is the squad in full. Atkinson is here today, actually, and we believe he might play this evening. Bashir, Brooke, Jordan Cox gets his first call-up into the men's test side. He gave a great interview with us the other day at Lord's. Duckett, Lawrence, I'll come back to him, Pope, Potts, Root, Smith, Lawrence. Stone makes a return to the squad after all those injuries that he has had. Pennington, unfortunately, has a hamstring injury, so he's out. Chris Wokes and Mark Wood. But I want to focus on Dan Lawrence, because with Zach Crawley's broken finger, he said, Ben Stokes said to me the other day on interview, he's going to open. Do you like that? What sort of challenge is it?
Well, it is a specialist role, you'd think, but you never know with this management setup. They're not so worried about the role, they're worried about the type of cricketer. And Dan Lawrence fits that type of cricketer perfectly. He is attacking, he counter-attacks, and we've seen Ben Duckett. Ben Duckett obviously had done it a little bit for Notts, but really, Ben Duckett was a little bit of a throw in the dark of, can he open in international cricket? Can someone who doesn't leave a cricket ball outside off stump as a left-hander, you'll know, Butch will know, in test match cricket in England against the Duke's ball, can they be successful in England? And he has been. So they see the type of player, Dan Lawrence, as that's the type we want. And you see in the whole squad there, they've moved up someone to open who's an attacking player. They've brought in someone in Jordan Cox, who himself yesterday said, I thought I was near the white ball side, not so much near the test side. And Ollie Stone, again, fits the brand. They don't want a medium dobber. They want someone with pace to come in. And that's exactly what they've got with Stone. So it's the brand and style more than just the role and individual names.
How do you see the challenge for Dan Lawrence then? Top of the order. Duke's ball.
I've been someone who's been part of middle order and then asked to open, especially I did it in England, and it's the most challenging. And Dan Lawrence has grown up in England, so it's slightly different. But it is, as he said, a specialist position. But the one thing is, if you are a top order batter, a lot of the times you end up playing the new ball. And in England, as we all know, in the start of the summer, the pitch is obviously very much in favour of fast bowlers. So at times you tend to bat a lot more with the new ball. And it's not something that he would be new to. But a couple of things that happen. One, when the 7th or 8th wicket falls and you're on the field, you already start thinking about your batting. If you're a number 3, number 4, you don't think as much. But if you're an opener, you're just thinking, okay, if these 2 wickets go, I need to go inside, pad up, I have enough time for a shower, maybe not. You're calculating all of those things, and those are new things to you. And if you haven't done that, those are feelings that you need to go through. Apart from the fact that you need to go, you need to take on the bowling. The current England team doesn't do anything as to what's been the norm so far. They try and break norms if possible. So I think Dan Lawrence has been part of Essex and he's done so well. But here's his opportunity to do something that the England team believes he can do. He was there as a backup player even in India. And guess what? He was practicing bowling throughout the series that I saw him. The batting obviously happened before Graham, maybe. But during the game, all he was doing, because there were murmurs that he could be given an opportunity as a bowler, because he could obviously bowl off spin with a very different action to most others. But taking everything into consideration, you have to say, in international cricket, the way things are looked at, skill is more at a premium than positions. An England team has been the front runner to deal with that, because whoever they've brought in, be it Zach Crawley, be it Ben Duckett, anybody, has been fitting a certain method which suits their mentality. And it's been good to watch. The results probably is always there for us to debate about, but they have set in stone the way they want to do it, and I think Dan Lawrence fits that mould well.
Stokes could have done it. And then Lawrence could have batted in a more usual position. I asked Ben that when me and Ather spoke to him the other day, and he said, no, I'll wait for the ball to go soft, thanks very much. I'll stay down the order. And he's got to bowl, and captain. He's got a lot on his plate. But he did it pretty well at Edgbaston.
Yeah, that was a one-off run chase. They didn't want to go back the next day. You know what Stokes McCullum and the rest are like. They wanted to finish that evening. That's why he went up the order. And it was a licence for him. And it was good to see, because he has had a little barren run with the bat. But the way he's bowling and captain, I prefer him in that middle order. The other people could have been someone like Keaton Jennings. I've often thought that Keaton Jennings, after that first time as a test match cricketer, has gone away, looked at his game. Every time I see him, he looks a good player. He's got a lot of runs against Stokes' Durham side when Stokes has been playing, even this year. So I think he's a good player, and he somewhere down the line should come again. I didn't see him going too far back and going to someone who, blocks it, maybe a Sibley here or, Lees or someone like that. I always felt they would go with a much more positive option, really. I like Jordan Cox. I've seen Jordan Cox quite a bit because he played for Felsted School, and my two boys used to play against him quite a bit. And he used to, as a young boy, he was way above anything that I ever saw. He just smashed. He was like from the Mark Ramprakash schoolboy era of being that good and better than everyone else. And he went to Kent, and he's now back at Essex. Recently had like an appendix or something, so he was
still struggling with it. Yeah. Still
so
got to get taped up.
But he's a real talent, real attacking, positive. Runs in Championship cricket already this season for Essex. He looks a real talent. I like that selection.
Okay,
I'll tell you what, Gordy. Having worked with the England Lions recently, it's a big challenge being a pathway player right now if you're part of the Lions setup, because there is a type of cricket that you play. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you know the type of cricket the England cricket team is playing right now, especially the Test format. You're brought up doing a certain way for your county, wherever you are, but you know you need to change that a bit if you want to be part of this English setup. I can give you a few names. Lees, Josh Bohannon, all of these guys are stuck in that rut. They don't know whether they need to change up the way they play or stick to what they're doing and score enough to put their name up for selection. It is a catch-22 situation for them. They try to do something different to what they've been doing. They fail. They're not going to be there. But if they want to get into the England team, the message is loud and clear. We expect certain type of players. Imagine your Keaton Jennings here. The last England tour was to England. He's done really well. They got 100 in the first game and had a very good series. Had a decent start in the championship games as well. But here the opportunities come for another opener to get in. Dan Lawrence, a mid-order batsman. Jordan Cox, not Keaton Jennings, not Alex Lees. If you were in their shoes, it's a pretty hard place to be right now, because how selection was before to what it is today is very different.
So do you think they've got that wrong, England?
Not at all. I feel the way the modern game is, it is what it is. You need to adapt, which basically means if you want to play for England right now, you need to do things the way they expect you to do, or be okay doing it your way, but probably not end up playing for England. Because I've seen a couple of guys, especially the Josh Bohannon and Lees, they want to make a mark in T20 and white ball cricket as well. But it's still for them to change things up. Mentally, there's a block. It's not that easy. But that's the challenge for them. Not so much for the bowlers. For bowlers, it's more just pace. But with batters, the whole way you're brought upon and how you bat needs to change if you want to be part of the current English setup.
So what was your advice to them? What can you say to them in those situations?
Well, at that point of time, the challenges that I faced were basically making them understand how it is done in India in terms of run scoring, in terms of playing spin. But the biggest question that was kept asking is, do you think we need to change? And my answer was yes. If you want to be part of a white ball setup, if you want to get into the 100 comp that we are sitting right here speaking about, then there are subtle little changes that you need to embrace for you to take your batting to the next level. With that, you will see failure. But that shouldn't bring you down. You need to have the resilience and the belief to say, I will do it and I will make a change. But if you're unsure about it, then there's no point going down that direction, because it takes you nowhere.
And the flip side of that is I like in decision makers, in leaders, I like stubbornness. And I mean that in a nice word. That sometimes stubborn can be used against you, but I love the stubbornness of this regime. We want players who attack. I did that interview with Stokes 18 months ago. Would Alistair Cook or Michael Atherton get in your England side? Two of England's greatest ever players. Nope, not interested. They wouldn't, because they don't fit our style. Pace bowling. We are looking for quick, fast pace bowlers. Jimmy Anderson, they could have easily played him all summer. Gone down the emotional avenue of Jimmy Anderson, our greatest ever bowler. Nope, we're going to move on, and look what Atkinson has done. So I like the stubbornness in them. This is what we're going to do. So easy to be swayed in any direction, any path you're going on. There's always a cab off a rank. There's always a paper, a pundit saying, go for this lad. There's always the stats. When actually, if you have a direction and a stubbornness and you stick with that, I think people actually admire you more. And I admire Key, Stokes and McCullum for sticking to their guns, basically.
But the one thing that I would like them to do, and I think they're doing it, especially Keezy, is to get the message across to all the lads who are in the pathway system, the line setup, that there is a way, a tempo that we want you to play to. If you want to be part of the setup, make an honest effort at trying to play it that way. If you're not, then don't expect to be picked irrespective of the number of runs that has been scored. And it's pretty much out there. Shoaib Bashir, he was sent from Surrey back to go and play from, literally he was moved on because he wasn't used here. And he's their frontline spinner today because they have a vision, which is the Ashes coming around, and they feel a tall off spinner can make a difference. So they have broken norms consistently. And with that, you need to produce results as well. I think the last couple of series hasn't gone their way. I'm not including West Indies there. I don't think that's the challenge that they look forward to. They're not great on the World Championship table, but they've said very clearly that's not something that they're looking at. But this Ashes will determine if this method is right, if this method is there for the others to follow as well, if you want to be part of the setup.